Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Prasadhyadishatharine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauran Nitai, Jaya Gauran Nitai, Gauran Nitai, Gauran Nitai, Jaya Gauran Nitai, Jaya Gauran Nitai, Gauran Nitai, Jaya Gauran Nitai, Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Nitai Sachisundara Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jai Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Jai Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Gurudev Jai Shri Shri Nitai Sat Shri Sundara Shri Ki Jai Giriraj Govardhana Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari 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 Bol Hare Krishna. So, what we are looking tonight at, Bhagavad Gita Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. And we're looking at text 8. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jnana Vijnana Triptatma Kutasto Vichitendriya Yukta Idyuchyate Yogi Samaloshrashma Kanchana. Translation. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones or gold, as the same. Purport. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Book knowledge without realization of the Supreme Truth is useless. This is stated as follows. Atta Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grayam Indriyai Sevun Mukhaji Hijivado Svayam Evas Puradata. It's a quote from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 1736. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. This is a quote from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.234. This Bhagavad Gita is the science of Krishna consciousness. No one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. One must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge by the grace of Krishna because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. By transcendental knowledge, one can remain steady in his convictions, but by mere academic knowledge, one can be easily deluded and confused by apparent contradictions. It is a self-realized soul who is actually self-controlled because he is surrendered to Krishna. He is transcendental because he had nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, are of no greater value than pebbles or stones. Amagyanathimirandas Gyananchana Shalakaya Jagshurun Militam Yena Dasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Datadis Papadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapatakamulam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrachadham Zahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Zachivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parichana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badan Zahagana Lalita Shivishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagadapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones or gold, as the same. Here Srila Prabhupada points out very strong words. Book knowledge without realization of the Supreme Truth is useless. Sometimes we see devotees that have a good amount of book knowledge, but realization is lagging far behind. So how, the question could be raised, how do we get realization? Realization comes by practicing Krishna consciousness by practicing the book knowledge. Not just reading it and thinking, this is wonderful knowledge, what a wonderful philosophy. No, we have to put it into practice. For instance, here Lord Krishna is saying, a person established in self-realization. Of course, self-realization in itself is a very important term. What is self-realization? What is a self? And how to realize the self? Well, we have spoken many times. The self, our material self, that is not the real self. It's our material self is comprised of our bodily identification, like belonging to a particular family, belonging to a particular country, ethnic identity, gender identity included, belonging to a particular gender. That's our material ID. And many, many more. So this is material ID, everybody has it. People fighting over it because it is part of the dualistic nature in this material world. Everything is dualistic, everything is dual. Like heat and cold and light and darkness, but it goes much further. People confess to one ideology, someone confesses to the opposite ideology. There are many examples. Nowadays, in today's society, someone is pro-Ukrainian, someone is pro-Russian, someone is pro-Israel, someone is pro-Iran. That's just in politics, but someone is pro-abortion, anti-abortion. All of that, these are material identities. But here we're speaking about spiritual identities. Self-realization, that is our spiritual identity. Why? Because we are spirit in essence. Many will not understand that. Many will understand only we are. I am this and this name and this ethnic group and this nationality and all the material IDs which we have acquired. A small child just a few weeks old, even up till months and months, he has no idea what is his material ID, because he hasn't been brainwashed to identify with a material ID. Of course he understands, a young child understands, here's my mother, here is my father, I belong to this family, and then it starts, I belong to this family, I'm part of this family, and someone else, that's a different family, that's not my father, that's not my mother. Of course, in an extended families, and there is grandmother and cousins and this and that, and they're all part of the extended ID. But later in life, in particular when we go to school, we are adopting these material IDs. And they're very difficult to get rid of. Once we have adopted a material ID, it's very difficult to let go, because it goes very deep. Everybody needs an ID, an identity that is built in that is a reflection of our spiritual identity. We have an identity, a spiritual identity. We are spirit soul. We are spirit soul. That's our spiritual identity, but it goes further. Jivara Swarupa Hoya Nitya Krishna Das. Nitya Krishna Das. Eternal servant of Krishna. That's our spiritual ID. Krishna, of course, is the complete whole, if we define it like that. Of course, Krishna is more than the complete whole. Krishna is beautiful. Lord of Vaikuntha. Krishna is a beautiful Lord of Goloka. Bodily, bluish hue of a rain cloud, peacock feathers in his hair, black curly hair, tending the cows, yellow garments, 2 pieces of yellow garments, surrounded by so many sakas or cowherd boys, cowherd friends, who are in complete Krishna prema, in complete love of Krishna. So that Krishna, who plays on his flute, who has eyes like lotus petals, smiling, a smile on his face, that Krishna, he is a master of Goloka. Also, the Goloka basis, the Vraja basis, they do not know. He's a master of the universe, of all universes. They just know this is our most beloved Krishna. Because yoga, Maya, Krishna's internal energy, she pulls a curtain over the eyes of the Rajabasis. Why? Because he doesn't want them to relate to him as the Lord of Vaikuntha in all his opulences. He doesn't want that. He wants them to relate to him in pure love. And that pure love is only found without any awe and reverence in Goloka. So Krishna enjoys that. The example is given. Like a father, he may be a governor, he may be even the president of the country, or prime minister. When he is in his office, everybody relates to him as Mr. So-and-so, or Prime Minister, or Mr. President, in awe and reverence, because they are aware of his powers, executive powers. So many powers. Nobody will relate to him, even not with his first name. Everybody is afraid of him as well, in some ways. But when that same president is at home, his family members, his children relate to him as daddy. They may even play with him. And the father, the president, lies on the floor and the child is on top of him. I defeated you, I defeated you. So that's a very different atmosphere. So same is the atmosphere in Vaikuntha. Lord Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan. There it's all awe and reverence. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord. Lord Narayan. Awe and reverence. But in Goloka, that is completely absent. So Krishna enjoys that more than the awe and reverence of Vaikuntha. Because the love is just without any inhibition. It's just pure love between Krishna and the Sakhas and the gopis and his parents and the elderly cowherd woman and the elderly cowherd man. So much so that when Krishna, he knew that the elderly gopis, they wanted to relate to Krishna like Mother Yashoda. They deep inside them, they had the desire, I wish I could be nursing Krishna with my milk, like Yashoda does. So Krishna knew all these desires. They wanted to relate in the most intimate of parental affection. Of course, they had a parental mood towards Krishna also, but not as intimate as Mother Yashoda. So Krishna arranged then these wonderful pastimes where Lord Brahma stole the cowherd boys and stole the cows, locked them away in a mystic slumber in a cave. And Krishna had arranged all that pastime so he could expand himself as a cowherd boys and as a cows. Exactly looking like the original cowherd boys and original cows. Lord Brahma was very much bewildered. After he had locked away the cows and the cowherd boys, and he came back after a moment. A moment was a whole year on earthly times, because the time is very relative. In the spiritual, the time relativity in Brahmaloka is extreme. A moment is a whole year on the earthly planet. So when Brahma returned, after a moment he saw the cowherd boys there, and the cows, exactly as he saw them before he locked them away. So he was bewildered. So he thought maybe Krishna, he wasn't fully aware who Krishna was, but he thought he must be very powerful. Maybe he went to the caves and looked where he locked them away, and there they were in a mystic slumber. And he came back to the Jamuna, and they were here also. So he thought maybe Krishna is just quickly exchanging them, bringing them here while I'm looking here, and bringing them to the caves while I'm looking at the caves. So then he tried something else. He has 4 heads. With one head he looked at the caves, and one head he looked by the Jamuna. So he could understand there were 2 sets of cowherd boys and cows. One set he has put in a mystic slumber in the cave, and the other set he was there at the Jamuna. So he was completely bewildered. So Krishna had arranged these pastimes so he could fulfill the desires of the elderly gopis. They wanted to nurse Krishna like Mother Yashoda did. So when Krishna returned with the cowherd boys and the cows, and it is described, Krishna had to do something. He had to expand himself, because he thought the cowherd boys and the cows have disappeared. If I go back to Vrindavan alone, without the cows and the cowherd boys, then that will be a big calamity. So he expanded himself. Previously, when Krishna and his sakhas and the cows came back from the forest, and coming back from the forest is so a nice scene described in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. when Gopakumar had traveled throughout the material universe up to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, and even there he took the position of Lord Brahma for some time, because he was the most pious living entity available. That's always Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the most pious living entity in the entire universe. So when he was at Brahmaloka, and then he crossed the Viracha river with all the different Bhumya upon Nalo the different layers, one many times thicker than the previous one. And the presiding deities of these layers try to induce him, stay here. It's a very wonderful, you will be happy here. But he pressed on. He knew he wanted to make further progress. He wanted to go through these layers. They tried to induce him, at least sit down, take some prasad, rest for a while. You have been on a long journey. He said, no, I have to go. I have to go to Vaikuntha. That was his next stop. When he came to Vaikuntha, we spoke of awe and reverence. Everything was there in awe and reverence. Beautiful. There was a palace, Lord Narayan's, Lakshmi Narayan, the palace, majestic, with ponds and lotus flowers blooming, and all the inhabitants had bodily forms just like Lord Narayan. Sarupya Mukti, the liberation of obtaining the same or similar bodily form as Lord Narayan. So all the residents, they had forms, bluish in color, 4 arms, and decorated with helmets and garlands up to their knees, and armlets and gold, all of that. Just like Narayan. And when Gopakumar, he entered Vaikuntha, he thought immediately, when he saw the Vaikuntha basis, 2 of them walked towards the dwelling of Lord Narayan, the temple, the majestic building. He thought, oh, this is Lord Narayan, because he had some idea how Lord Narayan looks like. So he offered his obeisances and said, oh, my Lord, finally I have come and to see you. Finally I have reached you after such a long journey throughout the material world, to Svarga, to Mahaloka, Jnanaloka, Tapoloka, Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, and up, through the layers of the universe, and all that. Welcome Vijay and Jayanti Bai. So then they stopped him. We are not Lord Narayan. We are servants of Lord Narayan. So he could understand. These are servants of Lord Narayan. Sarupya Mukti, same bodily features as Lord Narayan, similar bodily features. And when he eventually saw Lakshmi Narayan on the throne in the palace, then he called out, oh Gopal, my beloved Gopal, I have finally reached you. Because that was his attraction, Gopal. And then the Vaikuntha Basi stopped him again. Don't speak like that, Gopal. Our Lord Narayan is not a cowherd boy. What are you talking about? So they had all this mood of awe and reverence. But Gopakumar did not have that. His mood was very much the Vrindavan mood, unconventional, intimate. That he wanted to see his Gopal. Gopal means, of course, go is cow. He wanted to see Krishna as a cowherd boy. And that is the most enchanting form of the Lord. If someone has, by some good fortune, some attraction for Shyama Sundar Krishna, for Gopal, he is very, very fortunate indeed. He doesn't care about Vaikuntha and awe and reference. His attraction is for Gopal. Bluish color, curly black locks, dust from herding the cows on his face, which even beautified his faith many times more. Flute in his belt, cowherd robe over his shoulder. Beautiful form, yellow garments, barefoot. The Sakas and Lord Krishna, they went to the forest barefoot. Not some fancy shoes and trainers. And on the path there were pebbles also. Many pebbles and thorns as well. And the gopis, and especially Mother Yashoda, they were always worried. They were worried that Krishna will hurt his delicate, soft lotus feet. We know a small child has very soft feet, so Krishna has very soft, delicate lotus feet. With reddish on his soles and the marks, special marks on his soles of the feet as well. So much Mother Yashoda was worried that Krishna would hurt his lotus feet. That she said, now on your birthday, I will make you some slippers. And I'll give you umbrella. Like today, it's very, very hot in the UK. So sometimes we see people who are exposed to the heat, they have an umbrella. Common in India, but also here now, in these hot days, people have some umbrella for the hot sun. So she wanted to give Krishna, her Lala, an umbrella for the sun and some shoes that he wouldn't hurt his soft lotus feet. And Krishna rejected. Mother, how can I have shoes and umbrella when my cows don't have shoes and an umbrella? I can only accept an umbrella and shoes when you make also shoes and an umbrella for all my cows. And how many cows did Nanda Maharaj have? 9 lakh. 1 lakh is 100,000, so 900,000 cows. That was impossible. That Mother Yashoda make 900,000 umbrellas and pairs of shoes. The cows overheard this conversation, and their love for Krishna increased 1,000,000 times. Krishna was thinking of them. He didn't just accept the shoes and the umbrella, but he thought, what about my cows? So much love between Krishna and his cows. We cannot even imagine. There is a beautiful prayer. Namo Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana. Go Brahmana. The cows are first mentioned in that prayer. Go. Go Mata. And then the Brahmins are secondary. Go Brahmana. So Krishna has more and most affection for his cows. And then it comes the Brahmins and others. Of course, his Sakas as well. So the cows are very, very dear to Krishna. So the cows overheard that conversation between Krishna and Mother Yashoda. And at the night, unseen by anyone, they left the cow shed. Because overnight the cows staying in the cow shed. When Krishna comes back from the forest with all the cows, thousands and thousands of cows and thousands of cowherd boys, millions in fact. Then the first thing what he does, he brings the cows to the cowherd shed of Nanda Maharaj. Beautiful sheds, ornamented and made out of gold and precious stones inlaid, and the floor with emerald, and all very opulent. After all, Nanda Maharaj is a cowherd king, the king of cowherds. So he was very opulent. Where did all this opulence come from? Just from the produce of the cows. Milk, butter, ghee, yogurt, curd, all these different manifestations. Welcome Prakash, welcome back. So, then the first thing what Krishna did when he came back from the forest, he brought the cows to the cow shed and gave some water. Cows must drink a lot of water, and fed them also as well. And then usually he talked to the cows for some time. Yes, Krishna talked to his cows, just to make sure they were all right, and to comfort them and exchange some love between Krishna and his cows. How we know that? There's explained that when Krishna and Balaram arrived back with the cows, Yashoda, Ma, greeted them and said, "You come take your dinner now. Take your dinner now. Nanda Maharaj today, he will talk to the cows. You come in, take your bath, and then we'll have prasadam ready." So on that particular occasion, Nanda Maharaj will talk to the cows. So normally Krishna was talking to the cows, but here Krishna was requested, come immediately in the house. Nanda Maharaj will do talking to the cows. So these are all very wonderful pastimes of Krishna in Goloka. So when this Gopakumar, Gopa already is mentioned here, Gopa, cowherd boy. That was even in his name. So when he arrived after being from Vaikuntha and from the material world, he arrived at the gate of Goloka. Well, gates, Vaikuntha has also gates, and we heard that Chai and Vijay are guarding the gate, and then the 4 Kumaras arrived and they couldn't recognize them, and they refused them entrance into Vaikuntha. Also the Kumaras, they were very much attracted. How did they come to this attraction? They smelled the tulsi leaves which has been offered to the lotus feet of the Lord. That brought about their attraction. Before that attraction, they were more attracted to the impersonal manifestation, the Brahman feature of Krishna. But since they had smelled the tulsi leaves offered to the Lord's lotus feet, they became very attracted to the Lord of Vaikuntha. So they traveled. By their mystic powers, they traveled to the gates of Vaikuntha. And when they were forbidden entrance through the gates, several gates. Why there are gates? We could ask that question. Because not everyone is allowed into Vaikuntha, only those who are qualified. And Chai and Vijay, they were there to decide who gets in, who don't get in. Those who trying to achieve impersonal mukti, sayujya mukti, they are not allowed. Impersonal mukti is available outside of Vaikuntha, in the Brahma Jyoti, because that Jyoti is illuminating everything and everywhere. In fact, the Vaikuntha planets, the innumerable Vaikuntha planets, are floating in that Brahma Jyoti effulgence. But that Brahma Jyoti effulgence is nothing more than the Krishna's reflection of his effulgence from his toenails. So if that Brahma Jyoti is so wonderful already, how much is Krishna wonderful? So those who want to achieve sayujya mukti, merging into that Brahma Jyoti, effulgence of the Lord, they are not allowed into Vaikuntha. They have to reside outside of Vaikuntha. Therefore the gates are there, therefore the gatekeepers are there to judge who can come in and who not. But they mistook the four Kumaras. Because the four Kumaras, Lord Brahma, there's the sons of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma wanted them to create progeny, to get married and have many, many children, to populate the universe Lord Brahma had created. So helping their father, that was his order. Create progeny. But they refused because they have heard about Krishna consciousness from Narada Muni. They didn't want to get entangled in family affairs. We are all so much entangled in family affairs. How much affection and time we spend with family, with wife and children. Yes, we have to spend time, but that's what we wanted. Why we are put into a situation with family bonds, that's not by any chance. It's not that everybody is in a family entanglement. It's not like that. Some are not. But we wanted that. Why we wanted that? We wanted to taste that rasa. We wanted to taste how it feels like. I have a wife who's cooking nicely, who is attractively dressed when I come home from work. I work so hard, and a smile on her face, and then little children walking throughout the house, and they calling out, "Daddy, Daddy," is he? So this family situation, we wanted to taste that. There's a certain taste in every situation. So family situation not excluded. There's a taste there. So somehow or other we wanted to taste how it is to be in family life, household life, and cousins and friends, and the whole picture. And that brought us this desire from previous life, and lifetimes, many times over, that brought us into this family situation. So now in this lifetime, those most who are in that family situation, that's because we desired it. And we are entangled. Of course we are entangled. We have to work so hard for looking after the family. But ultimately that is extended selfishness. What is that? Extended selfishness. Selfishness we understand. I just for myself. I want to enjoy. I don't care about anybody else. Just I want to enjoy anything. Food and sound and sight and touch and all of that. That is selfishness. Extended selfishness, sometimes it is mistaken. Or I'm not selfish, I'm just caring for my family. So look how selfless I am. So much just caring for my family that they enjoy all the different categories and elements of this material world. Let them enjoy. So I'm a selfless man. I'm working very hard for their enjoyment. No, Shastra says no. That is extended selfishness, because you are part of the family. It's not that we are creating all that enjoyment for our family members and we don't take part. We're building a beautiful house or buying a beautiful house, working so hard for the mortgage, and we're living in the garden shed. That's not like that. We are part of that whole setup of family affairs. So, therefore, it is called extended selfishness. It's not the pure selfishness, I just built myself a house and trying to be happy. No, I built it for my family, but I am a part of that family. So I will, not only they will enjoy, I will also enjoy. So that is a selfishness. So when Jai and Vijay couldn't recognize these four Kumaras who didn't want to get entangled in family affairs, even against the order of their father, Lord Brahma, then they decided, let's just stay in the form of little boys. So we don't grow up, we don't have the attraction to the opposite sex. Little children don't have attraction to the opposite sex. That comes later when puberty comes, and then the trouble starts. So before, they are just innocent little children. So they thought, let's just stay innocent little children, because they heard all the truth about material attachment and family attachment and all that from Narada Muni. So they were self-realized sages. They were sages, old sages, but staying in bodies of young boys. And young boys, they don't even have to cover themselves. Naked. Young boys running around naked. So these four Kumaras were also naked. And they approached Jai and Vijay, the gates of Vaikuntha, and Jai and Vijay couldn't recognize them as great, great sages. So they said, you cannot come into Vaikuntha. Go back to your mama, so to speak. And normally devotees have conquered anger. But if someone blocks your way to reach the Lord, they become very angry. They cursed Jai and Vijay. You forbid us to come and see Lord Narayan? Nobody can forbid one to see the Lord in the temple. It's not, you can only worship Krishna in my temple. You cannot go and worship Krishna at the Hare Krishna Center, 28 Abington Road. That you cannot do. Only in my temple you can. So that is a material illusion. I wanted to say that's demonic. It is actually, but let's not use such strong terms. That is a material illusion. That is an offense. Let's put it like that. That's an offense. That's an offense against Lord Krishna, an offense against the holy name, Nama Aparad, and Vaishnava Aparad as well. Big offense. One cannot say, you can go to the temple, but not to this temple or that temple. That's not in our power. Devotees can go wherever they want. If they want to go to Sanatan Mandir in Leicester or the Hindu Mandir on St. Barnabas Road, nobody should ever say you cannot go there. If they want to go to a place where devotees of Narayan Maharaj are, or the Saraswati Mat in London, Gaudiya Mat, other temples which are not ISKCON, nobody can say don't go there. That's against the Shastra, that's apparat. You will have to suffer for that. So that was apparat. Jai and Vijay said, no, you cannot come into Vaikuntha. So they cursed them. They cursed them to fall down from their position. Of course, there is a backstory, and it had all a reason why. But without getting into that, they were cursed to fall down from their elevated position as gatekeepers in Vaikuntha, to fall down to the material world, take another birth in the material world. Of course, that curse was mitigated by Lord Vishnu, who heard the commotion at the gate, and he personally came, what's happening? And then it was explained to him. And he said, these 4 Kumaras are my dear devotees. Jai and Vijay, what have you done? You barred them from entering and seeing me? I cannot. And then Jai and Vijay realized they had done a big blunder, and they fell at the feet of the Kumaras and of Lord Narayan. Please forgive us, forgive us. We haven't recognized we are such low-class servants of Lord Narayan, and we have offended the Kumaras. Sanat, Sanandan, and so on. And Lord Narayan said, I cannot take away that curse of the Kumaras. I can mitigate that curse. So I'll give you the choice. You can go down and as devotees in the material world for a number of births, or you can be demons in the material world only for 3 births, so much less than as devotees. So the choice is yours. You have to go down, but either you become demons or 3 times, 3 births, or you become devotees, many more births. And amazingly, this Jai and Vijay say, they choose to be demons. Why? Why would anyone want to be a demon in this material world? Anyone as elevated as being gatekeepers in Vaikuntha? Well, their rationale was, we rather being demons for 3 times, and after 3 births we be back in Vaikuntha than many more births as devotees. It will take a long time until we be back in Vaikuntha. So much attached they were to the Lord in Vaikuntha that they rather preferred to be demons for a shorter time. And of course Krishna's desire was also fulfilled, because Krishna has also a fighting spirit. We sometimes need to fight, but with who can he fight in Vaikuntha? There are no enemies, there is nothing. These are all his dearmost servants. So he comes to the material world, and he came fighting this Jai and Vijay in their demonic roles. And Krishna's fighting spirit was also satisfied in this way. So if Krishna wants to fight, there is nothing, no one is even qualified in Vaikuntha to fight with Krishna. So he made some arrangements. So that's Vaikuntha. But Gopakumar, he wasn't satisfied in Vaikuntha. With awe and reverence, his desire was he wanted to see Krishna as Gopal, the most attractive, the highest form of self-realization in Goloka. So when he came to the gates of Goloka, there was he saw some people crying. In fact, he couldn't see if they're crying out of something terrible happened, or if they're crying to something most blissful. He couldn't see the difference. And he was wondering, where am I? I have traveled from Vaikuntha and now I'm here. By the power of the mantra, the Gopal mantra, which his guru gave him, the Gopal mantra, is that you chant this mantra, all your desires will be fulfilled. So Gopal mantra is given when one gets Brahminical initiations. It's a part of the several Gayatri mantras. Generally, Gayatri mantra, we think it's only Om Bhu Bhu Sva Tatsavitu Varinyam. That's a Gayatri mantra. Yes, that's the first Gayatri mantra. There are several others. And the second last is a Gopal mantra. And the last is a Kama Gayatri. So the second last is his Gopal mantra. And that was given to Gopakumar. And he regularly and with full faith he chanted his Gopal mantra. And that helped him to go higher and higher through the material universe, crossing the boundaries of Viracha river into the spiritual realm and coming to Vaikuntha and then coming to Ayodhya Dham. After Vaikuntha he ended first Ayodhya Dham, because Ayodhya is the gateway, it's explained, is a gateway to Goloka. So first Ayodhya, where he was greeted by Hanuman and all very nice. So Ayodhya, and then from Ayodhya, then Goloka. Then he came across, and the gate is described as very beautiful, golden, big golden gate, and ornamented and shining, and jewels inlaid, and very opulent. Goloka, very opulent. We shouldn't think Goloka is only some dirty cowherd sheds and some mud houses. No, no. It's very described as very, very opulent. In fact, Gopakumar, he couldn't really describe it. It was just beyond description. It was just so mystical, so wonderful, so blissful, unimaginable for us here in this material world. Even the Svarga, even Lord Indra's planet, we cannot imagine the sense gratification available at Lord Indra's planet. We cannot even imagine the opulences. The level of sense gratification is thousands and thousands of times greater than what is available here on this earthly planet. That's nothing. We think, oh, here is so much nice sense gratification available. I can watch movies, I can eat any food I want, and so many things in this material world. We think that's great. That's nothing in compared to the sense gratification in Svarga, in the higher planetary systems. What to speak of the happiness and bliss of Vaikuntha? What to speak of all the happinesses available in Vaikuntha, multiplied by 1,000,000? That is Goloka, the topmost planet of the universe, the greatest bliss possible. So then Gopakumar came across an elderly woman, and he asked her, "Where am I? What place is that?" And then she answered him, "This is the kingdom of Nanda Maharaj." When he heard that, he fainted, Gopakumar, because that on his journey, that's what he always wanted. He wanted to come to Goloka, And on the many other places he has been, he stayed for some time, and he was propelled to go higher and higher and higher. And then when he woke out of, the woman helped him to come back to consciousness. Then she told him, in a short time, Gopal is coming back from the forest, herding the cows. You see that path down at the Jamuna? That's a path. He will be coming. Actually, Gopakumar, he didn't know whether he was in Goloka, in the spiritual sky, or whether he was in Gokula, in the material Vrindavan. Just our Prakash, he has just been again and again, once a month. He's going to Vrindavan and Radhakund and Giriraj, Govardhan, and like, but he lives very close from Delhi to Vrindavan, so that is very easy for him. So this Gopakumar, he has been in Vrindavan before, like Prakash, so he wasn't sure where he was. Was he in Vrindavan, the earthly Vrindavan, the Boma of Vrindavan, or was he in Goloka, the spiritual Vrindavan, in the spiritual sky, the Aprakrita Dham, or the Prakrita Dham. The earthly Vrindavan, the Boma Vrindavan, is called Prakrita Dham. And the topmost planet in the universe, Goloka Vrindavan, is the Aprakrita Dham. And they're very, very, the earthly Vrindavan, the Boma Vrindavan, is explained to be a replica of the Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual sky. So then he couldn't quite figure out where he was. Suddenly, he traveled up and up and up in Vaikuntha and Ayodhya, and suddenly he's back in Vrindavan, in the material world. And then by some deliberation he could understand, no, I'm in the Aprakrita Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan I am. And when he heard Krishna is coming soon from the forest with all his sakas and all the cows, and he became ecstatic to the greatest extent. And then he saw Gopas and Gopis and everyone who can walk, as they were running towards the Jamuna, to that path where Krishna was expected to come. They were running. Some Gopis, they just froze in their homes. They couldn't move, like a statue, because Krishna's flute from far, far, far could be heard. His flute, that's what they could hear. And the mooing of the cows, they could hear. And the playing of the bugles and the flutes is not only Krishna has a flute. In Goloka, the cowherd boys have also flutes. It's described. Some flutes are made out of jewels, some flutes are made out of wood, out of bamboo, and different types of flutes. They all have flutes, and bugles and horns, and because it's a big festival. Whenever they go to the forest of letting the cows graze, it's a big festival. They're dancing in the forest, they're making music, they're making up songs, it's explained. They're singing. Krishna is relishing the singing of his sakas more than when they're massaging his body, his legs, his feet, which is of course very wonderful. The sakas massaging Krishna's legs when Krishna, oh, you must be tired from all that walking barefoot in the forest. So lay down and take a rest. And then one cowherd boy will say, okay, lay down on my lap. Put your head on my lap. So that's a nice cushion. And someone else will say, I will massage your legs and feet to mitigate your exhaustion and very hot. the forest, we have been walking for so much, we have been playing, we have been jumping around, so now you lay down. And each cowherd boy, each Saka, he thinks he is the most fortunate person in the universe. He is massaging Krishna's legs and feet. And another Saka thinks, I'm the most fortunate person because Krishna puts his head on my lap. Or someone else thinks, I'm the most fortunate Saka because I am allowed to fan Krishna with some jamara, with some made out of leaves and flowers and so on. But in fact, there are millions of cowherd boys. Krishna is not only giving this opportunity to one over another. There are millions, but again, by Krishna's Yoga Maya energy, everybody thinks I'm the only one who's massaging Krishna's legs. And it is explained. While they're taking care of Krishna, massaging him and fanning him, say singing. The singing, what's the singing? The singing of Krishna's pastimes of that day. If it was Aghasura, then they're singing how Krishna so gloriously he entered that demon's mouth and expanded himself and killed him, and all the cowards, the Sakas, they were released from that horrible demon's belly because they walked right into it, thinking it's a cave. My mother said, it's a cave, yes, but it smells, it's fishy smell. It appears like it's a big demon with his mouth wide open. And then they decided, never mind, we walk into it, let's see, maybe there's something to play, like young children, always ready to play. And anyway, Krishna is surely he will protect us. Even if it's a demon, Krishna will protect us. And, of course, Krishna, he thought, wow, what now? My Sakas and the cows walking into the mouth of that Aghasura demon, what shall I do? And then Krishna walked in as well, and then his opulence expanded himself, because within Krishna all the other forms of Godhead and Vishnu are all within Krishna. But in Goloka they don't manifest normally, only in certain situations. And that was the situation where Vishnu, in fact Vishnu killing the demons, not Krishna. Vishnu within Krishna. So the cowherd boys, the Sakas, they're singing these beautiful pastimes of Krishna, and they're making up their own songs, their own melodies. It describes that Krishna enjoys the singing of the Sakas more, even more than they're massaging his legs and feet. So then Gopakumar, he saw some dust cloud at the edge of the forest, and we must be right, that path from the forest is right next to the Jamuna. And so they could already hear the flutes and the bugles and the singing of the Sakas and the mooing, of course, of the cows, because the cows were also very happy coming back home. And then out of that dust cloud there appeared Krishna. First the cows. Krishna always keeps the cows in front. Why would Krishna keep the cows in front? He can keep an eye on them. If they're all right. If we have someone, we, as a guardian, someone to protect. If we walk with our children, It's not we walking ahead and the children behind, and we don't see what they're doing and if they are in any danger or anything. No. Okay, you children, you walk ahead, walk in front, so we can keep an eye on them. We can anticipate if there's any danger, we can see. We never know if the children are walking behind us, they may walk into the street. Who knows? Young children. So Krishna keeps the cows in front, just to make sure they're all right. But the cows don't like that. They want to see Krishna in front because they want to see Krishna. So normally when Krishna puts the cows, and then he turns around and goes to the back, and the cows turning also around. So again, Krishna is in front. And that goes on many times until the cows understand, even though they are in front, they know very well Krishna is behind, because he's playing his flute. Krishna is there. That's a worry. They cannot exist without Krishna. So the cows came out of the forest first, and then Krishna behind in the dust cloud, and then Krishna could see. He spoke to his friends. Look, look, my dear friend, Sarup has come. Gopakumar's spiritual form. So long he has been Gopakumar, traveling through the material universes and up to Ayodhya Dham. He has been always referred to as Gopakumar. But then Krishna recognized him as Sarupa, which is his Svarup. His Svarupa. And these terms are related to each other, Sarup and Svarup. So Sanatana Goswami purposefully made that in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Krishna called out, Sarup has come, my dear friend Sarup has come, and Krishna was running ahead. He was running ahead towards Sarup. And Sarup, of course, he fainted, seeing his dearmost friend, Krishna, Gopal, finally, after so many different situations and so much trouble, he has arrived at his final destination. Of course, he always thought, wherever he was, that is my final destination, but of course it wasn't. But this was now the final destination. And then Krishna came and he put his hand around his neck and tears coming from his eyes, and then Krishna fainted. So much love. We don't even know how much love Krishna has for us. Here, in this material world also. What to speak if we finally, on our long journey, arriving back in Goloka. So much love Krishna fainted. And Sarup did not know what to do. And the gopis who were nearby, they were angry. Who is that? Who is that newcomer here? What has he done? Is he a servant of Kamsa? Is he has poisoned our Lord, or what? Our dearmost, Prananath, is lying on the ground unconscious. What he has done, this newcomer. And Balaram, first of all, he did not know what is going on, and then by some deliberation and observation, he understood. Oh. Then he told Sarup, you put your arms around Krishna's neck. You touch his body, you massage his body, and fair enough, Krishna opened his eyes and looked at Sarup. And then they got up, and Krishna wanted to kiss his face, but then he became a bit shy, because he saw everybody else looking at them, the gopis were there, and so he felt a bit embarrassed. So he just held his hand. So much love Krishna has for Sarup, and Krishna has for us. And then, of course, he brought the cows back, and He invited Sarup, sitting right next to him for dinner. And it goes on and on and on, that pastime. So that is self-realization. Because our verse tells us, tonight a person is said to be established in self-realization. So that's the ultimate aim of self-realization, of realizing our Svarup Siddhi, our spiritual form, who we are. Yes, we Nityara Krishna Das, or Nitya Krishna Das, eternal servant of Krishna. But what kind of servant I am? Am I a Saka? Am I a servant like in Vaikuntha, in Dasyaras? Or I'm a Saka like in Sakyaras? Or I'm a Gopi, I'm a Manchari in Madhurya Rasa? All of that is the ultimate self-realization of realizing who we really are, beyond an eternal servant of Krishna, but exactly in detail who we are in our spiritual realization. And that is, of course, only achieved through the medium of Raga or Raganuga Bhakti, which comes in its own accord after practicing sadhana bhakti, according to the direction of the spiritual master and the scriptures. On that raga platform, there is no question of being directed by the scriptures, because we are directed by love. Automatically, we don't, or devotees on that platform, they don't act against the scriptures. Externally, they behaving just like a devotee on the sadhana bhakti platform. But internally, they're motivated by love, by the bhava or by the prema, the pure devotion, the full blossomed love for Krishna. That is not by the scriptures anymore. Like we explained before. The cowherd boys, the Sakas or the Gopis, they don't discuss Bhagavad Gita verses in Goloka. No. It's all loving pastimes, loving affairs. So that is the ultimate goal of self-realization. And here Krishna explains, such a devotee is called a yogi or a mystic when he is fully satisfied. Very important, fully satisfied. Gopakumar was not fully satisfied for a long time. Even in Brahmaloka, he wasn't fully satisfied. Even below Brahmaloka, Mahaloka and Jnanaloka, and even meetings of Kumaras there, he was not fully satisfied. Even in Ayodhya Dham, even in Vaikuntha, he was not fully satisfied. But now he came to Goloka, he was fully satisfied. So here Lord Krishna explains, if someone is established thus in self-realization of his Svarup Siddhi, of his real identity, real self, he is a mystic, and is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. So being on the transcendental platform, fully on the spiritual platform. And of course, he sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones or gold, as the same. Okay, let's look. Srila Prabhupada quotes a very beautiful verse. Atta Shri Krishna namadi nabhaved grayam indriyai sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spuratyata. from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. A famous verse, very famous verse. Here's the translation. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. So we shouldn't think by academic study of the scriptures or by study without realization, or as Srila Prabhupada puts it in the very first sentence of his purport, academic knowledge is useless. We need knowledge by realization. Jnana, vijnana. Vijnana is by realization. Book knowledge without realization of the supreme truth is useless. Srila Prabhupada used the term useless. Then that verse, that quoted verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, we cannot understand the transcendental nature because our material senses are not transcendental. We need to come to the spiritual or transcendental platform. Like Srila Prabhupada gives an example, we cannot enter fire. In order to enter fire, we must become fire. We must have a fiery body, just like the inhabitants of Surya Loka, a fiery body. Then we can enter fire. So once we coming to the spiritual platform, the transcendent nature of the name, Amrita Radhe Mataji, Hare Krishna, welcome.
Sorry, Prabhu, I'm super late. There
Yeah,
was a bit of a chaos. Sorry.
okay. You are here at last. So, with our contaminated senses, it is not possible to realize the nature of the name of the Lord, the form, the qualities, and the pastimes. These are always quoted together. Name, form, qualities, pastimes. Because we know, and we have heard, these are all fully spiritual. There is no difference between the name of Krishna and Krishna. The form, the qualities, and the pastimes. We are advised to hear the pastimes of Krishna. Like tonight we have spoken at length on Gopakumar's journey up to Goloka. So through material contaminated senses. Our senses are originally spiritual, but they're covered, like our consciousness is covered. They're materially contaminated. Why? Because our senses, the focus is on enjoying material objects since time immemorial, so they are contaminated. And we are contaminated by material identifications. So essentially that verse explains only when one becomes spiritually saturated, very important, spiritually saturated. At the moment we are not spiritually saturated. We are rather materially saturated. Saturated means if we have a sponge and we put it into water, that sponge is dripping full of water and it is saturated. It cannot take any more water. Completely saturated. So we have to become like that. Become completely saturated by Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. In all its numerous ways and forms. So only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service. The service to Krishna is transcendental and should be transcendental, and we have to understand with knowledge and realization when we offer any service to Krishna that is transcendental. Because if the consciousness is not behind that service, if the consciousness is just an external consciousness and we're performing the motion of devotional service, Amrita Radhamadaji, mute your microphone. Okay, I did it. So, if we are not acting on the transcendental platform, then that service is not transcendental service. It's becoming quite material, if our consciousness is material. So we have to, therefore, when we do devotional service, let's say we do puja, we have to first do manasa puja, in the mind, understanding very clearly, meditating on Krishna. And then our external service will be of the same quality. So our service needs to be on the transcendental platform. We need to be, while we offering any service, not just puja or deity worship, any service we offer to Krishna, we need to understand who we are. We need to be on the transcendental platforms, and it becomes transcendental service. And only then, this beautiful verse explains, when we are saturated by transcendental service, then the transcendental name, again transcendental name, just to remind us, is not an ordinary name. The Krishna's name, form, qualities, pastimes. The transcendental, says totally on the spiritual platform, Shuddha Sattva. Only then the transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord will be revealed to him. That's a verse from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. So then the transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes, they will be revealed. We can read, of course, but we need to be in the right consciousness also. Then all this will be revealed to us. Reading Bhagavad Gita in an academic way, nothing will be revealed. If we are not devotees, nothing will be revealed. Sometimes people think they understand Bhagavad Gita studying from an academic way. They're not even devotees. Krishna will not reveal himself to non-devotees. He reserves that right. Because he says to Arjuna, I speaking this Bhagavad Gita, I revealing this Bhagavad Gita to you because you are my friend. First of all, you're my friend, and you're my devotee. So one needs to be a devotee, and one needs to be a friend, a lover, or a dasa of Krishna. Then all this will be revealed. Then Srila Prabhupada carries on a little bit more. In the same way, no one can become Krishna conscious simply by mundane scholarship. And then a most important sentence Srila Prabhupada says, one must be fortunate enough to associate with a person who is in pure consciousness. Pure consciousness means a pure devotee. So we need to associate with a pure devotee. We need to be fortunate enough. Brahmanda Brahmida Kona Bhagavan achieved Guru Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lada Beach. We have been wandering throughout so many universes, sometimes up, sometimes down, and if we are fortunate, Bhagyavan, then we meet a devotee or a pure devotee, we coming in contact with a pure devotee. So, if one is fortunate to associate with a pure devotee, that's very important. So the question could be raised, but where is that pure devotee I can associate with? Srila Prabhupada is not anymore with us. Wrong. Srila Prabhupada is with us in his Vani form, in his instructions. Right? Srila Prabhupada explains himself. If we reading Bhagavad Gita, we are associating with Krishna directly. Krishna's words, non-different from Krishna. So if we reading Srila Prabhupada's purports, and translations, then we are associating with Srila Prabhupada. So, where is the opportunity not to be fortunate enough to associate with a person in pure consciousness? And then Srila Prabhupada carries on a little bit more. A Krishna conscious person has realized knowledge, right? Not book knowledge, realized knowledge by devotional service, by experience. And by the grace of Krishna, because he is satisfied with pure devotional service. As we read just before, satiated. So a devotee is satisfied with pure devotional service. By realized knowledge, one becomes perfect. So that vein goes throughout Srila Prabhupada's purport, academic knowledge. One will be confused by apparent contradictions. Sometimes we have spoken to devotees and they are confused. There are contradictions in the Shastra. We try to explain there are actually no contradictions. The contradictions arise because we are not fully Krishna conscious. On the higher level of Krishna consciousness, there are no contradictions. Superficially, it may appear there are contradictions. There are none. Then Srila Prabhupada says, it is a realized soul who is actually self-controlled, because he surrendered to Krishna. If someone is surrendered to Krishna, automatically will be self-controlled. And he is transcendental, because he has nothing to do with mundane scholarship. For him, mundane scholarship and mental speculation, which may be as good as gold to others, have no greater values than pebbles or stones. We shall be very careful not to fall into the trap of pratishta, of thinking, of wanting recognition and scholarship, even amongst devotees. We have to be very, very careful not to become proud of our scholarship. Naturally, when we study Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and we study the previous Acharya's books as well, then we might fall into the trap, I have become a great scholar. And we might even speak on so many topics out of that pratishta. But as long as that pratishta, the desire for adoration is there within our heart, that will not help us. Mundane scholarship, mental speculation, we may be attracted to that, and it may appear like some gold, but actually they have no more values than pebbles or stones. Okay, let's read the translation again, then we have some questions. Translation of the text today, which is 6.8. A person who is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and it is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone or gold, as the same. Okay, any question? Amrita Rati Mataji, any question?
No, Prabhu, no questions as such, but I think there were some very appealing points, as in, like, for example, you explained today how, in what mood should we be reading Srila Prabhupada's books, basically not desiring pratishta and in the mood of taking association of a pure devotee, with the desire of wanting to serve and becoming a devotee ourselves, basically more service inclined. So these are the points I gathered from whatever little I heard.
That's nice. That mood of wanting to serve Krishna. If we fall into that mood of acquiring some scholarly knowledge, then we are off track. Thank you for that. Vijay, any question?
Yes, related to the when you mentioned the sakas, when they were possibly massaging Krishna's feet. So made me think about the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, the symbols on the feet,
Yeah.
lotus feet, yeah. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam,
Bhagavatam, yes.
yeah, Bhagavatam, yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna walks on the earth or in the heavenly planets, these marks are visible. An example is when Akura, who is a minister of Kamsa, I think, Akura went to Vrindavan to take Krishna and Balaram away to the festival arranged by Kamsa. But when he saw the marks on the Lord's lotus feet, I think he fell to the ground. So those marks are visible. So my question is, when the Sakas massage Krishna's feet, when they look at their feet, I'm guessing they haven't got the marks, but Krishna's has. Is it visible to them, and will they ask why has he got those marks on his feet? Is a question.
Of course it's visible. That's Krishna.
Yeah.
Don't even ask. Why has Krishna marks on his feet? That's Krishna. Why Krishna has a peacock feather? Why he has the most beautiful smiling face? That's awesome. Marks on his feet is just part. That's Krishna.
Yeah, but what won't the Sakas ask? Because they're not like in Vaikuntha. They don't know he's God or his Lord. But won't they ask the question? Well, our feet haven't got these marks, but yours have. Will that come to their mind, or is it not? It's like something I was
The
thinking about.
question would be, do they also have any marks on their feet? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Maybe yes.
Maybe yes. Yeah.
Different marks.
Okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
I don't even know if Krishna manifests those marks in Goloka, Amritarate. What do you say? Is Krishna manifesting?
Prabhu, actually, in Mayapur, there are imprints of other gopis' lotus feet on the altar, but they don't have any marks. So at least they don't have any marks. I mean, the gopas and the gopis.
Okay, so that answers that question. If the gopis don't have any marks, then the gopas don't have any marks too. But the question is still open. Does Krishna have his marks on his feet in Goloka? I would tend to say yes, but I cannot say for sure. But it wouldn't be astonishing. It's Krishna. That's just why he has Krishna a bluish color, like a rain cloud. Why he has marks on his feet. It's just, that's Krishna.
Yeah, we wouldn't really know. Well, not for sure anyway. So yeah, it's just something because the relationship in Vaikuntha, because they treat Vishnu Narayan form with awe and reverence, because they're both four-handed. I think the residents are four-handed as well. But
Yes,
yeah, so it's just I don't know until I get there, I suppose.
Krishna does have some marks on his feet because there's a
Yeah.
pastime when
Yeah.
Masa Yashoda, the Damodar pastime, when she looks where is Krishna, she follows some. She could see the marks from his feet. So Krishna has marks in Goloka. Yes. Anything else?
No, it just I think the residents of Vrindavan they chant and they think of the Lord's lotus feet. Um, So they're always thinking of the Lord's lotus feet. Well,
It's
probably,
not the
yeah.
Lord. It's not the Lord for them. It's just Krishna is equal. It's our friend. The Lord comes only in Vaikuntha. Then in Vaikuntha, it's a Lord. There's Dasyaras. But in Sakyaras and the cowherd boys and the gopis, it's not the Lord. The gopis says our lover. And the cowherd boys, that's our friend. We're equal. Krishna, you, and we are equal. And when Krishna, because he has lost the game, they're making up games also. As they go along, they have well-established games they play, but they're making up their own games, like children do also. When we were young, we made up our own game. And then everybody agrees, let's play that game. So sometimes Krishna loses, and he has to carry the asasakas on his shoulder. And then they say, oh, what big man you are. Now you're not a big man anymore. So they're equals, no question of Lord. Yeah? Anything else? If not, we stop here for tonight.
No, thanks. That answers the question. So, yeah.
If you get a chance, Vijay, read Brihad Bhagavatamrita. If it's available as an audiobook, beautiful audiobook, recited by, I'm sure it's Damodar Das. It's also available as a Kindle book. It's also available as a hardcover book. So it's available on Amazon and otherwise probably. Read it. It's. I read today again. It's actually the most important Goswami literature, and so many other Goswami literature of the previous acharyas of the Goswamis. They are basing their writings on Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Sanatana Goswami, he did a wonderful job, so to speak. It's all revelation. It's a revelation. It's not a novel, it's a revelation. Yes, Amritarati.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I missed the name of the person you were saying who translated and has commented on Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Which devotee?
Oh, there are many versions. There is Bhanuswami version. There is second canto. There are two cantos of Bhagavatamrita. The first canto deals with who is the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy, from Lord Indra up to the Pandavas. Narada Muni is inquiring. That's the first part, first canto. Second canto is Gopakumar's journey up to Goloka, and there is a beautiful copy of Narayan Maharaj for the first part. Unfortunately, I really like. I fell in love with that copy because he also very elaborately quotes the Dik Darshini Tika, which is the commentary of Sanatana Goswami. So that commentary is also there on his own book. And all the verses are given. Oh, that's a nice version, but unfortunately only the first part of the second canto, and the most attractive part when Gopakumar enters Vaikuntha is not there. And I don't know, I was almost impelled of writing, and when will you bring, I'm sure that exists somewhere in Hindi, but not in English. So that version is available, and Gopi Paranadana's version is found in the Veda base, and that is a BBT version that is also available. So there are a few authorized versions.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much. So Narayan Maharaj, you are saying Narayan Maharaj's version is what you are reading, or
That is very wonderful. The second canto, part 1.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you.
And there is an audio book. It has. I'm trying to find out, and I will find out, what version of what translation was used to produce that audiobook. And that audiobook has the first canto and second canto in full. Everything is up to when Gopakumar meets Krishna, and then they take lunch, and much, much more. It goes on afterwards. So that's an audiobook. If someone is inclined to just hear the audio, then that's it's beautifully recited in a beautiful voice, and that I could recommend. That was my first encounter with Brihad Bhagavatamrita. And I shall find out. It's, you see, the other versions like Narayan Maharaj version and Bhanu Swami's version and Gopi Paranadhara, they are broken up in, which is nice in itself, with the Sanskrit, with the verse, with commentary. So, but when you hear the audiobook, it's just one story, no Sanskrit breaking it up or commentary. It's just one story from beginning till end. That makes it very, very likable and digestible. So find, if you are on Apple Music, it is there, I believe so, or maybe not, I'm not sure. I got it from a website long ago, sadhusanga.com. I'm not sure if they still exist, so it came out as a direct download, it came out as a CD version. Look, sadhusanga.com, or look in Apple Music, or in Spotify, or any of the audio, SoundCloud perhaps as well. And that is very, very ecstatic. Anything else? Amrita Radhe Mataji, anything else?
No, Prabhu, thank you so much. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
But I would really strongly recommend to read the Bhagavatamrita, because it's such an important work. Okay, we stop for tonight. Jai Tejas Prabhuji Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, see you on Wednesday.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming, Vijay.